Hi, welcome back. On this episode, I'm making a tent for when I go on bike trips. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button. Subscribing is a big help and very greatly appreciated. Also, check me out on Instagram at Clara Garage. Alright, so let's have a look at what I have going on. So some of you may have seen this box before that I made last year. So this winter was too busy, so I never got a chance to finish the metalwork and get it painted. So it's still rusty bare metal, which isn't quite the look that I want to go for, but it's functional, and when I have time, I'll eventually get to it and make it look good to do justice to the bike. But for now, we're working on a tent that I'm making for when I travel. So this material is a rainproof material. I could have got different colors, but I kind of thought the bright, ridiculous lime greeny yellowish color was look kind of good and it would stand out. So when I am traveling, people will notice me. So part of the design that I'm trying to accomplish with this is I'm not always stopping at campgrounds or side of the road to camp. I want to have the ability, if I want to, stay in a parking lot, whether it be a truck stop, a Walmart, whatever, and I don't want to take up more than one parking spot, but I also want to be comfortable. And I didn't realize that when I made this trunk last year that my cot actually fits inside of it. So once I realized that got me hooked on making a tent that I could use my cot that would be quick to set up and take down, and I wouldn't have to use pegs or anything, is kind of my goal. So I've been working on it for about a day and a half, 2 days. Before this, I've never used a sewing machine or anything before. I borrowed my sister's sewing machine, and she gave me a quick 5-minute tutorial on how to make it work and do a stitch, and that was about it. So I'm just kind of winging it, and so far it's actually turning out better than I thought it was going to. And the material that I'm using, it was on sale and discounted, so it was $3 a meter, and I bought 12 meters of it. I think I'm gonna have a little bit extra, but once I get it done, then I'll know if I need more or if that was enough or not. So, and this material is about 60 inches wide, which works out pretty good. They had other material I could have used that was the same price, but it was slightly narrower, and I kind of like this color, so I went with this color. And then they also had some material that felt maybe even heavier duty than this, but this actually feels pretty good compared to tent material. But it's kind of like a tent material, but it just seems a little hardier. And so I could have got that did it in all black, but that material was $15 a meter, so it would have been a lot more pricey. So, but that would be an option. If this works out well, I can always make another one. But I kind of like this, other than I'm making it in the garage, and the garage floor is not the cleanest, so it's getting dirty. But it is what it is. So I'm going to roll up the top, and I'll show you what I have going on so far. Alright, so there's going to be just a little bit more room than this between the cot and the bike, so it's going to be a little bit cozy, which is okay. And this is the cot that I'm using. It's the army style cot, and it folds up small enough to fit in the trunk, so it's awesome. And it gets me up off the floor, so even if this tent does leak, but hopefully it doesn't, I won't be laying in a puddle, because the last couple of years I've traveled, my other tent I always try to find a grassy spot to set it up on, and I always seem to get stuck in rain all the time and end up waking up in puddles, and it makes for a long week or so, especially when you're trying to do a lot of kilometers. It's nice to try to get a good sleep. So the cot runs about the length of the bike, and it works out pretty good. And then sewing that I've already done, I've already stitched the roof to this wall, as well as I've already stitched the other wall and the floor. I'm going to make it fit into those dimensions. and I stitched the screen in. It got a little crooked on me, but it was easier just to leave it than to fix it. So there's that. And then I did another screen down here just for letting some air in and out so it's not stale and it breathes okay. And then I added a zipper in here so I can open that up and I can actually access my saddlebag from inside the tent, which will be kind of nice. And when I cut the material for the zipper, I sewed the zipper in and then I cut the material, but I cut it on the bottom so it's a flap, so any water has a bit of a drip loop. And no water should get down here, but if it does, I roll the material up so it'd be a little bit of a drip loop too, so it shouldn't come inside the tent at all. And then coming towards the other side of the bike, I figured I might as well sew a piece of material on here, and I'll finish it off so it's kind of like a bit of a fly, so I don't have to worry about water coming in that vent, and it will breathe nice, and it should be pretty good. It'll also keep all the dew and hopefully all the rain or most of the rain off my bike. So I still need to finish fitting it. I'm not worried about the trunk and all that stuff getting wet. I didn't want anything that I made to get in the way of opening the trunk or accessing the saddlebags. So that's one of the reasons I put the tent on the other side. And if for some reason the kickstand ever started to sink in whatever ground I'm on, the bike would want to fall away from me, not on me. So this is kind of my poles that I have set up for attaching to the cot. They still need some fine tuning and some height adjustment, and then I'll end up cutting them and making them work perfect. But this is kind of what I'm basing it off of right now, and this attaches to the cot. So I just have some zip ties on the cot right now to kind of hold it in place. And I want it to have just a slight lean out for two reasons. Reason number one, if they're straight up and down, my sleeping bag might kind of touch them and I might feel the dampness. And reason number two, if it's raining, hopefully the rain will run off instead of down onto the wall, potentially getting me wet. So I'm just trying to give the rain a little bit extra room to go. So that's going to be something like that. I'm going to find a little bit better, quicker, easier way to secure this once I get it done. And then on the roof, I've already sewed a channel for the holes to fit into. But I need to get my cot set up 100% where I want it, and I want to finish doing the floor first before I do that, because the height of these bars might change just a little bit once I get the material done, just to get things to fit the way I want. And then once I know exactly where the cot's going to be for my 3 upright bars, I'm just going to have to trim part of this off just so I can thread them in from inside and attach them. But it's going to look something kind of like this. So that's going to kind of be how it's going to sit, something like that. You can see my stitching where that channel is. And then this stitching here is adding the remainder part of the wall on. And I'm planning on rolling this material here underneath and sewing it to this material here, which will be the floor. So it's not too bad for room. Kind of be something kind of like that. And then I just need to close this off and put a door in big enough so I can slip my cot in and out. But this is kind of what I'm going for. So from inside, There's enough headroom to kind of sit. There'll be enough room to access into that saddlebag. And it won't be too bad. And like when you're laying down, it's pretty good. So these are probably going to be slightly lower. And I'm probably going to have the two ends so it's kind of slightly rounded just to help with the water flow. Like there's our vents there. And down here just to help with getting any carbon monoxide out and getting fresh air in. So that's kind of where I'm at so far and kind of what I'm going for. I'm hoping that I'll be able to have this set up and taken down in about 5 minutes. Is kind of my goal. Just a quick roll up and put it in the trunk and go. I've even thought of maybe the idea of making its own carrying case and attaching it to the side of the trunk so it's already attached. And then I just got to undo it and roll it out, and that would save more room in the trunk. It's light enough it shouldn't throw my balance off while I'm riding, but it might throw off and get in the view of my mirror. So when I get closer to getting it done, or when I get it done, I'll decide if I want to do anything like that or not. And now I'll show you how it is attached to the bike so far, and it seems to be working pretty good. Alright, so I have it anchored to the bike in 3 spots right now. I have it one spot there, it just slips on, and then I bring the handlebars back a bit, so that's really easy to get off. And then I have a piece here that slips over the mirror, and that's it, that's all slowing it on. So my plan is to be able to just come up, throw that on the mirror, throw this on here, and then I can turn my bars all the way over, and that tightens this up a little bit, and then come to here. And then once it's all sewn up, my plan is to be able to just pull it out like this, and then take my cot and just go in from the one end, slip my poles up real quick, and then I'm set up and ready to sleep. I'm hoping I can do it in 5, maybe 10 minutes, full setup, full takedown, and that's including like tent, cot, sleeping bag, and pillow is my goal. So my next step that I want to do with this is finish rolling it over and then getting my seam pinned together so I'm ready to sew it. So I'm going to get that done, and then we'll start recording again, and I'll show you how I'm sewing, what I'm doing. Not sure if it's right or not, but it seems to be working. So be nice in the comments if I'm doing it way wrong. Alright, I got my forced seam all pinned, and I'm ready to sew it. So I turned the tent inside out, and I did my best to match the two halves, so hopefully it's not like this or like this, so hopefully it'll turn out good. So we'll find out once we get it all together how well I did with that, but I think I'm pretty good, so we're gonna hope that we are. So we're gonna turn our sewing machine on. There's a foot pedal down here that we're going to use. You push down on it, and depending on how hard you push, will vary how quick it will sew. And the reason I'm doing my seam like this, once I sew it, and I got to make sure that I sewed the waterproof membrane in at the same time. So I got to make sure I got everything. But then when I turn it the other way, I'll have a nice, smooth, perfect seam. And I've been double stitching. I've been running one strip all the way down, and then I've been going back and doing a second strip beside it. And then you should have 2 pieces of thread sticking out. One comes from your top spool, and the other one comes from underneath. So you kind of run it down. And then there's a lever right here. You push that down and then keep the tension on and just start going like that. These are the little pins I'm using to kind of hold it in place. And now I just go all the way through the whole seam, going one pin at a time. And you want to make sure that your material is sitting nice and flat. If there's any wrinkles or crinkles in it, they'll be sewn in permanently. And that's what the back side looks like. And if we open this up, that's what that's our seam right there. Nice and smooth and looks pretty good actually. So this is about 8 feet long. So we got about an 8-foot sew we got to do, and we're going to do that twice. And then when I hit the end, I like to turn that up so it kind of releases it. And then you flick that up. And then I've been pulling back about an inch to 2 inches. And then I close it back down and then I stitch over my other stitch to hopefully keep it from coming undone. Just like that. And the scissors I had out here weren't that great, so I'm using my 10 snips. They actually work pretty good. So that's one pass in the seam. It needs one more pass still. And that's what it looks like from the other side. It looks pretty good. We're going to give it one more pass. And I'm going to go a little deeper in. And I kind of pick a spot on here, whether it be the edge, to try to keep my seams the same space apart. Some of my stitches are better than others for keeping a straight line. Alright, so there's our two seams side by side. Looks good on both sides of it. And that's our seam right there. So it turned out pretty nice. It looks good. It should be strong, hopefully. So I'm going to get this turned back right side. I'm going to get this turned back the way it's supposed to be. And I'm going to get back on the bike and get the cot back in and try to set my final height up for the roof and get that done. And then all I have left to do is sew in the two ends and sew in the doors. All right, I think I got it set up where I like the height of it. As a good slope, so the water should run down it not too bad. So it's looking pretty good there. I kind of just use the clothespin to kind of start getting the shape I'm going to do on the back. So I'll be able to sew up here. And then it's looking like I have to do a little stitch down on the bottom. And then I have a little bit of excess material underneath. So when I get things all done with the walls and that, I can probably give that a little cut and then get rid of that excess so it packs a little better. And then I'll have just a short little piece right here to finish this off. And where my poles are in, I'll make sure I close those up too so no spiders or earwigs can get inside. And then same thing on the front. I'm going to measure off a piece of material that goes this full distance and start kind of fitting it. I might sew the zipper into it before I sew it onto the tent, just because it'd be a little smaller piece of material to deal with. I'm planning on doing a vertical and a horizontal zipper. So it'll be two zippers to close it up, and that should give me lots of room to get in and out. And then from inside, it's not too bad. I got my poles kind of taped up. I just need to make something to kind of grab them. That'll be nice and easy and quick. And I'll have to make a little longer slit in here somewhere, ideally at the halfway point, so I can shove the poles one way the other way and join them together. But it's looking pretty good. Lots of room. And I'm up off the ground, so that'll be pretty decent. We got some ventilation. Might put a window in the door too. So it's starting to get there. I'm going to cut those pieces and kind of get them fitted. And we'll go from there and see how we make out. And then once we get that all done, then we can finish off the portion that covers the bike, which will be nice. And then this tent will be, for the most part, done, which is exciting. And I can move on to the next thing to get ready for my trip. Alright, so I just ran out of thread on the bottom spool, so I'm going to show you how to fill that up. So the bottom part just pulls right off, and then this bottom door opens. And then down in here, we're going to take our finger and pull that out like that. And then the thread spool comes out, and we can see it's empty. So then you just turn that upside down. There's our spool. And then we need our thread out of here. So we take our thread, we move this over to the smaller one. And then there's some holes in here. So you go from inside the spool out, just like so. And then I find if you turn it upside down and put it on, now that thread is going to want to stay on there. I like this thread to be tight, so make sure I keep it tight. You just push that over to the side. And now you just hold the pedal down, and it automatically spools it up. Alright, now that's full. And now we just take our scissors I pull that off to the side, pull it off. I cut the thread, and then the piece sticking out, I cut it short as I can, just like so it's flush. And then we go back to this piece, and we slip it in, and the thread should be coming around this way, going towards this opening, and we just kind of push it in with our thumb, and then there's a little tiny groove there, so you go up the groove, over and through, and now it's where we want it. And then when we put our spool back in, there's one longer slot, and we're going to try to feed this up through there, so then it's sticking out the back side. Might take a couple tries. Right, so that's through, and just pull it out the back. So you can see it only fits one way on the sewing machine. That's the proper orientation, and then it pulls out. And now we move our spool back onto there, and then we're going to come up through the bottom of this. So we have our spool, and now we're up through the bottom this way, and there's a little tiny wire. So you come through and then come back over and around, and then you can kind of see that little metal piece. We go in behind there and then up, and then there's a little clip we gotta get on the other side. So I find if I hold the spool, it keeps it tight, and I'm able to get it over that. So I hold that tight and I pull up. All right, I'm over it. And then we got this hook up here. We bring our thread over and then down. And if it's not looking the same on yours, or in a different spot, there's this knob on the side. We're able to turn it manually, and that will move it up and down. And then from there, we have this little clip here. So we gotta get our thread wrapped around that. So we got our thread around that. So now we're pretty good there. And now the last thing we gotta do is get our thread through that little hole on the needle. So now we just gotta get our thread through that hole on the needle. Sometimes it goes a little better than others. That time it went pretty good. Then you wanna carefully grab it, pull it so it's tight, and then out through the bottom, and now you're good to keep sewing. You just flip that closed, and you put that back on, and now you're good to sew. So my bottom thread ran out mid-seam, so I'm gonna go a little bit before it ran out, so I can finish my stitch. Alright, so I got the tent done as far as I'm going to go before my trip. I think it's going to be pretty good. Might need a little bit of fine tuning here or there, but I think it's going to be pretty awesome. If I have time before I go, I will make a little bag for it, so I can roll off and stuff in a bag with the holes and everything, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have time or not before I go, so I'm going to hold off on that until I'm about to go, if I have everything else ready. But let's do a little walk around. Alright, so from the back, we have our nice Clogger Garage trunk, and it attaches to it. And then we'll come around this way. This is our side profile. It's looking pretty good. The pole running along here, I might trim it just a hair shorter. It's maybe slightly tight. I might take a 1/4 inch off of it. We'll see. And then that's the front. And then I have this sewed to it, coming off and covering the rest of the bike. So it'll help keep dew and water and everything off. I figured might as well. And then I do have some venting up in here, as well as I have some venting down in here as well behind the pipes, just to try to help with getting some air circulating through there. And then when I bought my zippers, they didn't have any double-sided zippers, so my solution around that was I sewed a small zipper in right here. So I can open that up. And then I can reach in and I can open the zippers from the back side. And I can get in and close that back up. Gotta reach up and undo those the rest of the way. And then that's plenty of room to sleep for a night here and a night there as I'm traveling along. And I'll be up on a cot, but I could also put a small air bed in here too if I wanted to maybe save a little extra room in my trunk. And then on the inside, I sewed a zipper in along here. This is the bike side. So I can unzip that, I can reach in, and then I can still access my saddlebag, which is really nice. So I have 2 poles coming off of the trunk, going to the runner on the side with 3 verticals. Vertical there and vertical there. And then I also put in a little window here as well in the door. So there is a little window to help get even more air in. I was thinking about putting one on the back side, but I didn't. If I end up needing one, I'll cut one in before the next trip. And back closed. So yeah, so that's the little tent. I think it's gonna work pretty good, hopefully. So that's the little tent that I made that comes off the bike. I was hoping to so it'd be about a 5-minute setup and a 5-minute takedown. I think I'm gonna be closer to 10 minutes, which still isn't too bad, and it's nice because the way it mounts and everything, I'm able to stay in a parking spot if I wanted. I'm not going past a parking spot. I don't have to worry about it blowing away. So that is kind of a big plus. All right, now we're going to do the teardown, and at the same time we'll show all our mounting points. So the door's already unzipped. First thing we're going to do is take our cot out. All right, cot's out. We can loosen this side off either before or after, but we're going to do it before. It's just a couple ties. So I have a little tie on the front. I just tie it in a little bow. And that's off. And then around the highway peg, I just have a little tie there. And then down on the bottom, so this doesn't flop around, there's another tie. But if I want to try to get a little more airflow if it's warm out, I can always tie this up too to get more air flowing into my side bed. And then I got one tie on the side of my box, right there. Now I can just take this whole thing and flip it right over. And it's out of the way. The seat's off right now because I put a new battery in the bike. It has nothing to do with the cover. And I'll go in and take the poles out. So I find it's easiest if I take the poles going to the box off and then kind of lean everything over and just pull them out. It seems to work pretty good. And there's that, all the poles out. And now our last step is to get it off the bike. So the first thing we're going to do is turn the handlebars to the right a bit. So the handlebars are to the right, so now we're able to get our little loops off. I got one on the highway peg, and then I got one over the mirror. And then that just comes over. I can move both of those onto the trunk. And then I can just grab it and roll it. And then slip that off. And that's it. Tank's off. I can throw it right inside the trunk. I'm not sure if I'm going to, if it's going to be better to roll the poles up inside the tent, or if it's better to keep the poles separate. I'll play with that when I start packing up, and if I make a bag for this, I'll take that all in consideration to see what's the easiest and what's the fastest. But that's all it is. And then with these just slipping on, I'm probably going to have to put a little tie going to it, so when I do have the trunk open, it doesn't want to fall off. But it works out pretty quick and easy for getting it set up. My biggest concern when I'm setting it up at the end of a day of riding is the temperature of the pipes. Because I'm not sure, this material will probably melt fairly quick if the pipes are too hot. So I got to keep that in mind when I'm setting up. Like coming across the trunk and down, the saddlebag keeps it away. And then attaching part of it to that highway peg, that helps to keep it off the pipes on the side too. But when I am setting it up and draping it over, if it touches the pipes, if they're too hot, they'll melt. So it might be one of those things that maybe I'll park and then just wait 20 minutes or something before I set it up, just to try to avoid melting the tent. But overall, I think this is going to work really well for me. And this right here isn't actually how I mount this box. I just have just that on, just kind of keep it in place. I have stronger anchors that go down, but I just have this on just for while I was making this, so I didn't actually attach this properly. So that's just kind of help keep it about the height that it should sit at. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful or interesting. Maybe it gave you some ideas to do on your own. I'm probably not going to get around to editing this until I'm back from my trip. And if that's the case, I'll add in how it performed and what I thought about it after the end of the trip to see if it was worth the time and effort. But I think I'm going to be quite happy with it. And I think it gives me a lot more freedom for places to park and sleep. And it's also nice with it being such a bright color. Like, I could have went with black material, but I kind of thought with the bright material, I stand out a lot more. So if it's somewhere dark, I'm less likely to get hit by a car or something in a parking lot, because they'll be able to, they should be able to see the bright color. And also, God forbid, if something ever happened to me, people will recognize the that setup. It's bright and it'll stand out and should catch people's eye. So it should be pretty good. Well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button. Subscribing is a huge help. So definitely keep subscribing. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram at Clark Garage. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.